like 5 minutes early or whatever, I like to play some music in the beginning. Welcome to EOSIO Weekly. Mondays we do what's called BP and Chill, and we got EOS USA Mike in here. Do you guys prefer Mike or Michael, or does it matter?
I go by Michael, but I mean, I respond to a lot of 4-letter names too.
Fair enough. Anyway, so yeah, my name's Corey. On the bottom there's Jimmy. We were already having an amazing conversation, off air, and I told everyone to shut up because we had to get this on air because it's really, really good. We were talking about our planet. We're talking about alien worlds. We're talking about all this stuff. So one of these days, Jimmy, I've got like a bunch of random videos. We kind of do some songs and stuff, different things to start the show off. But I do want to make sure we do this one thing. Ponder this if you would, Michael. One thing for which you are extremely grateful this morning.
Alien worlds?
All right. I like it. We'll use it.
The truth of that. I mean, like I say, it's becoming a key piece of a lot of my daily operations. So why not, right?
I like it. I like it a lot. All right.
Now, while he does this, did you know that if you tag Alien Worlds on Twitter, it'll take you to a new documentary series on Netflix that has absolutely zero affiliation with the game?
Are you serious?
You know what, though? Give it a little bit of, that's kind of the metaverse they're playing off of anyway. So free trailer, right?
I thought it was kind of cool because I was thinking, maybe there's a backstory here that I don't know about.
That's what I'm saying is that, I mean, you can go a little bit of, all right, I mean, it's not true, but, incorrect advertisement is still advertisement, right?
All right. It's official.
There you go.
It's on the day.
It's on the wall.
It's on the wall. For those of you guys that don't know what this is the Uplift. We built a cathedral at the center of it. We're going to be selling land key NFTs here for people who want to come in and build here. And there's a bunch of people who want to do that already. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we come together inside this game and write some gratitudes on the wall. And it's starting to fill up. We've been doing this for about a month. It's pretty fun. Anyway, let's get on with it. So we were talking about I basically, okay, we'll just tell the whole story. I bought a bunch of one wax NFTs from Alien Worlds. Like people were selling just the abundant stuff that they were getting in packs and mining and what have you for, between like 0.7 and one wax or whatever. And so I'm buying all these things up. And I literally started as a way to kind of stop thinking about the game mechanics and the business side and all the just crazy shit that we're doing with the Uplift, which is going to be going into pre-sale hopefully in a few weeks. So anyway, I just like clicking through like a fiend, right? It's just like click buy. And then I realized there was bundles. You could buy 100 at a time. Like that's more efficient. It's buy 100x literally, right? And I'm buying them all to stake them to our planet. And so we'll get into this in a little bit. But then I went to the Cabal, which is a secret society that you can't be a part of unless you're very cool.
May or may not exist.
Apparently, it might not exist. I don't know. Wink. Anyway, so I asked if anybody had any of these things they wanted to sell for less than a wax a piece. So it's kind of, the price I wanted to stick around at. And of course, EOS USA, Michael was like, well, I got, I don't know, checks notes, 18 gazillion of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I got 1 or 12.
Yeah, one or 12. So yeah, we cut a little NFT dope deal, and we got a bunch more of these things. So we're talking about the fact that like I'm buying them for 2 reasons. Basically, like I think their value is going to increase because we know there's some game mechanics coming with Alien Worlds where you're going to be able to shine these things up, and therefore they're actually going to have a use. You'll be able to increase their value. The characters are apparently going to do something. I mean, I don't really understand what that is yet. And then there's like battle cards, right? So you'll be able to battle things and have fun with that, and you'll be able to shine those up as well. So the abundant ones will be able to be combined to create more powerful stuff. So buying up all these things seems like
to the first level. Remember, they only go, I think, what's gold? The first one, they start at stone, they go to gold. Abundance don't go all the way up to like antimatter or whatever. So it's important to kind of keep that in mind. But they're still shining a bull, and I figured that you were amassing an army to be able to award them as action rewards for some sort of
that. So that's kind of my other the other thing, right? So if like basically they may or may not increase in value. So I'm sort of paying attention to that. And I can stake them to our planet, which is kind of what I wanted to chat about because we're talking about different use cases, which is super fascinating for these projects. They're all kind of iterating really quickly. Or yes, like basically burying them in the ground metaphorically inside the uplift so that they can be randomly discovered anytime that you're, walking over the planet that we're talking about, making at least one, up in the I think the northeastern reaches or northwestern reaches of the uplift would be good, right? So there's like tons of different possible use cases, and I'm picking them up. And so we were talking about, like our planet's Ether token doesn't have a use yet, and it doesn't really have a value, right? Like it's got like a bit of one, but it's not super intense, and they're like maybe creating a game. That's on their roadmap, right? They're planning on doing that, but maybe talk about your experience, Michael, as far as the so you get all sorts of tokens. Like what are the kind of use tokens that you dig, and really like maybe talk about how well Alien Worlds did at creating that initial value proposition.
Well, I mean, not even so much tokens that I dig, but just tokens that we earn. I mean, we're a block producer, infrastructure provider, so we work with a lot of projects, amass a lot of tokens, and just tokenomics is hard. So That's always, I guess, in my opinion, the hardest of any of the blockchain project tasks because it's so uncontrollable. It's the market. You kind of know how the market's going to work against you. I mean, people are always out to make the dollar. So anyway, long story short, the tokenomics is always the hard part. And, Alien Worlds has a pretty interesting tokenomics model that, yes, you get to come and mine and get all this free Trillium, so to say, and cards to be able to get more Trillium or whatever. But also have a pretty distinct mechanism for burning it or, giving it a use case. So shining your tools to get them higher, give them a stake mechanism, things along that line. So really kind of excited, hopefully, that Silical tokenomics model of, yes, it's emitting a lot of tokens, but, I saw some of those shinings are like 4,000 Trillium or 2,000 Trillium. You're only getting it 3 at a time. It's going to take a long time to get up to that point. So therefore, the value should increase.
Right. Yeah. No. That makes a lot of sense. I kind of think any use case, right? Because my basic thing around tokenomics is pretty simple. Like number of wallets that are holding it times number of meaningful transactions, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can sort of track the value of any token or Bitcoin or anything, based on those metrics. And they're creating, and it has to be buy and sell mechanics, right? It can't just be like, randomly setting.
Speculative is the problem. Or not the problem.
And no, it can be good for obviously really good for liquidity, but there has to be real value, right? And so like I want to buy something and I can only buy it with Ether. That's interesting, right? That's where you're going to start to get that valuation, or with Trillium. And so then Trillium, you turn around and I've got, maybe 50,000 shovels, and I want to, I could make maybe 10,000, half decent shovels or whatever it is, right? Like improved shovels, but I need the Trillium to actually accomplish that, which is interesting. And now that I'm thinking about that, I might actually start buying some up before people realize that, because I'm going to need it.
You're not the only one. Right? If you look at those Alcor charts, they're not getting any smaller.
It's interesting, right?
I got some promo packs out there which have some Trillium in there, and
go on.
The prices are starting to creep up to, when I said, here, I'll throw them out there for that price. If somebody wants them, sure, I'll be happy to part with them. Oh shit, they're the low sell order now. So, like I say, I think people are starting to realize there's potential. Obviously, when there will be actual use, but we'll see. And then, like I say, our planet, same kind of thing. I guess I look at it as, free tokens has struggled in this economy for a lot, and the distribution mechanism. Airdrops doesn't really work, but, I look at it as a distribution mechanism. You can tap into other people's communities and assets and give them a use case. It's not all self-centered aspect of it, but, so it gives Alien World Abundance cards some use, but it also gives you the mechanism to distribute your tokens and your ideals to like-minded people, right? You wouldn't have Alien World Abundant cards unless you were into staking and NFTs, and probably have a Wax account already, obviously, right?
Right. It's like pre-vetting for sure, right? Like, sort of
self-made market. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's a good way. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, so like Our Planet, you go to ourplanet.io. I was interviewing one of the people that's working on that, and it sounds really interesting, right? I didn't really get it at first either. I'm like, you stake these things and like you get this ether. What the hell's the point of it? So I went back to their site. They have a little bit more on there, and it's basically the projects that are available for it: Tribal Books, Blockchain Heroes, Alien Worlds. And I just found out 10 minutes ago, Jimmy, they're going to add the uplift art to that for anyone that wants to hodl and stake on there, which is kind of fun. And again, like watching how they're connecting the communities together and stuff too, right? Which I think the projects that are doing that, I have a suspicion, a hunch, are going to do better than the average. Just because when you're connecting community nodes, it's just I think there's a sort of there's more value there. Anyway, so you basically are earning this ether that, yes, on Alcor is going for .00000 nothing at the moment.
I think it's like .06 wax. I mean,
Trillium's doing really good too. So yeah, there's no use case for it yet for ether. But what they plan on doing is you can use ether to buy elements, which will be NFTs in their thing. And then you can combine those elements, burn those things together to create new organically created NFTs, right? Or sort of like evolutionarily created NFTs, which is interesting, right? It's just a game. It's just this, it's that, or whatever. But it's a way to kind of get into this cycle and create different kinds of value. For me, I was just like, I wanted to kind of buy up all these things anyway, because I think it's interesting. I do think they're going to be more valuable, in 6 months than they are right now, because nobody really, no, I shouldn't say nobody. It's sort of that asymmetric information thing, right? Like I know that there's going to be use for these things in the future, and other people do, but like maybe they don't care and they want to put it on the market, fine, right? Or they don't want to click something 3,000 times, which I did.
It's amazing. I mean, a lot of people are just in it for the quick. They'll take even high-end cards and just dump them on the market just to them. I mean, again, it was free money to begin with.
I did it before. I had the astronaut cog for Alien Wars, and I dumped that on the market for what I thought was a stupid price. It got bought like the next day. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. I apparently did not know what I had.
But even still, by seller's remorse, whatever. But
no, I'm happy about it. I mean, wax is gonna moon too. Like, there's no way to lose in this.
That's the way I look at it. And of course, you can go all the way up. I mean, it's more. You can go and spend wax on whatever you want. If you want to go buy more Alien Worlds, if you want to go buy, cogs, if you want to buy Pepe or whatever. I mean, you actually have. It's not so much locked into an in-game token. That's one of the beauties of the whole ecosystem, and wax in general, trying to promote that whole framework.
Yeah. Well, and it's always interesting to see what gets hot and what doesn't. Like we talked about this on one of our previous shows about, how some projects overshot their, supply and demand metrics, and some of them ended up burning them, some of them ended up kind of tanking, or losing kind of a fan base. But one of the ones that came up that week was that Bratz one. And the Bratz was cool because they went on a limited time sale. And I think the packs were quite cheap. They were like, I don't know, $8 or something like that. And now I think when I when I checked last, they're up around like $60 because like basically that, and this is like something that like people were made fun of. Whereas you look at something like Atari, which like pretty much flopped because of the oversupply and the under, that's the thing, right? Like some of these NFTs are good, but you can always use more wax. Like, and I don't, wax might be the perfect use case for cryptocurrency in the sense that it probably will at some point go up in value, but even if it doesn't moon, it doesn't need to moon, right? Like, right. I mean, it doesn't. If it goes to $1 per wax, it's great, but if it stays where it is now, it doesn't really matter because people are buying wax to accumulate NFTs and collectibles, and right.
It's as much of a conduit. Fine, keep it pegged at whatever, but that's what I say. It kind of nurtures that, in-game. I don't know. I guess when I try to explain it to people, expanding the in-game currencies for all of these little bitty ecosystems and marrying them together, and then of course giving you a bridge. I mean, it's not like you go straight to your bank account, but relatively easy. And of course, over the next year or two, I think you'll really have way easier ways of selling your mythical staff from this game, and within minutes, have a transfer going to your bank for actual USDs as it traverses its way through whatever rails.
Well, I'm not I'm sure. I think we're kind of in my opinion, I think we're kind of in the nostalgia stage right now. I mean, if I liked Atari, I probably would have collected those. But I like the idea of blockchain heroes just because it was an original IP. There were a few other projects that I got into, like Uplift. It's part of the reason I wanted to get involved because it's music on the blockchain. That's some cool stuff. Alien Worlds is one of the first kind of cross blockchain games that exist. There's a lot of cool things coming out, but we're in this nostalgia phase, right? We're still in the garbage pail kids phase. Even with the original, even with the original IP that's coming out on Wax, we're in this just wait until things like Marvel or Disney hit. Right. And I'd say this about Wax, but I'll also say this about Ultra, because I'm paying a lot of attention to Ultra, and I think they're going to kill it as well. But those two ESOI blockchains, I mean, my guess is that they're not even going to market that they're EOSIO because they're going to do much better with the general sentiment.
Right. Well, that's the whole point. I mean, that's when you get mainstream adoption is when they really have no clue that it's blockchain. Yeah. I mean, you say the word blockchain, you're probably going to lose anybody anyway. What you can get them with is play the game, and those tokens that you're earning whacking away at minions now either can buy other games or whatever, So I try to equate it to credit card points, for those people that don't still quite get it is, they understand that they make this funny money credit card points when they spend their pay their bills or whatever. And then in some sort of way, those points now entitle them to free gift cards or whatever, I mean, to take that same general concept is just imagine doing something and getting some credit card points for it. And then being able to take those credit card points and go and get money, gift cards, other items in the game, whatever, and some of the people are understanding at least that concept, that credit card.
There's these YouTubers that I watch that I think they're even more high profile than I think, but they're a great couple to watch. They're called the Gentlemen of Crypto, and they're kind of OGs in the space. And the one guy wrote a couple books, and he's into the Bitcoin machine type business. I'm not really sure whether it's a distributor or anything like that, but basically he said he's been using Lolly, which is essentially, because Binance now coming out with their own credit card, a lot of these other companies coming out with it. Exactly what you're saying. He said last year he made $300 because, he was just buying stuff online with Lolly. He said the cool thing about Lolly is if you get your wife or your girlfriend on the Lolly and she uses it, and that the value is going to go up, you're going to be like, yeah, sure, it's cool, go shopping. Just make sure you're using Lolly, right? But
it's like credit card points.
Now with the pump, it's up to 1,500, right? And so you put it akin to air miles or credit card points or things like that, which I would agree from inside of crypto, but from outside of crypto, not even close, man. It's a difference between night and day. It's a difference between an extra month's pay in the year.
Oh, and I'm just trying to chisel away at their, I mean, you say the word Bitcoin and all of a sudden they think I'm in, some bad cult or something somewhere. But
I don't know. Considering recent EOS events, I mean, I'm surprised you haven't changed your name to just Michael USA. I mean,
oh, you have to take a jab, right?
Come on now.
Hey, and you know what? I mean, we go back and forth on that, but I mean, it's a brand that we built. I mean, and we still love EOS. I mean, there's still some use case. Because I'll say this: it's just like you talk about Wax having a conduit, and the market cap of EOS and the ability to bridge into EOS and then out to more, bigger markets. That's if that's all EOS's only real use case
as the pass through.
Yeah, what do you use Bitcoin for?
Well, yeah, I think that's the problem. That's kind of, there was a great EOS apologist video that I highly recommend everyone watch. It's gonna it'll be in our links on our Thursday episode, on our update episode. But basically, this kind of ties into what you were saying earlier. That one of the issues with EOSIO is that everything had to go through EOS, number one. And so and you probably, Michael, I know, I've interviewed you in the past. in print, and like you've probably had to deal with this way more because you're involved with like a lot of the blockchains on the inside, right? You're involved with Telos, you're involved with Wax, you're involved with a few more and a lot of projects as well. That was one issue because the onboarding for EOS, let's face it, it kind of sucked. Like,
right.
And then,
I mean, the simple fact that somebody has to pay for an account for you to join the chain has always been our biggest, in my opinion, hurdle. Is that what's the worst thing you can do? Shut the front door and make it really hard to open it. I mean, hey, there's this cool shit all inside of here, but good luck getting on, And if you do find a mechanism that tries to pay for the account or do all of that, then the bots and stuff step in and, ruin it for everybody. So, that's where the Wax wallet, really early on.
And it looks from the beta version of the Ultra wallet that's looking really good too, right? And as Kurt points out, even back when Lynx was a chain, and their onboarding process was really good. So I guess Proton will probably be similar. But yeah, so that brings it.
I'm on the committee for Proton too.
Sorry, yeah, I kind of figured you're kind of everywhere. But yeah, that brings me to a second point, and the second point was that the problem is that I'm getting myself into trouble here, but here's the deal. Right now, I keep saying this. I think Tyler Winklevoss came out. I think it was Tyler. One of them came out recently, and they basically said, if Bitcoin is a store of value, and that's like gold 2.0, which I think it probably is at this point, then maybe Ethereum be oil. And I was thinking, okay, well, actually, if Ethereum's oil, then EOS is probably cars. So point number one, number two, right?
EOS is cars.
But the second point is that like there's a, don't get me wrong, I like Ethereum, but the way that Ethereum is set up with the mining and the processing, and like if you're a little guy, especially on Ethereum DeFi, you're getting rocked because there's people that are looking inside the blocks and they're short selling or
the front running,
running you on your orders, and they're paying higher fees, and so it's just not like it's basically taking the old world monopolistic system and putting it on the blockchain. And so there's a lot of people, I think, in the blockchain space that probably have a lot of EOS that don't want to see it succeed. That's all I'm going to say. I no conspiracy theories or anything, right? But I keep looking. Like I was thinking about, this is what I think about EOSIO. Like I had this weird vision in my head because I do this sometimes. Like EOSIO is like a whack-a-mole, and like those whack-a-mole games where and like he got all these great like projects popping up, like or chains popping up. You got Ultra pops up for a bit. You get Proton pops up. They're all doing cool stuff. Like even Boss Core. I mean, from a tech stack, they're quiet, but from a tech stack capability, they're doing amazing things, right? And like, but EOS is that one in the middle that's like somehow broken and it never goes down. So you can just keep whacking it on the head. Pretty much Dan and Brendan. That's pretty much where they're sitting, and that's like a really big problem because like I think in a way, EOS has taken the hit for everything else, but in a way, it's kind of causing us problems. But I think if Ultra takes off, or if Wax takes off, or if Telos takes off, and they all have equal potential possibilities to bring on new people, that'll be when people start to associate EOS with EOSI technology and Block One with that technology that's actually produced this technology. By that time, probably the majority of the ICO holders will have capitulated because there's no money going into the system. I mean, I'm talking out of my ass right now, but that's just what I think is about to happen, right?
Yeah. Well, and like I say, I mean, I think that the tribalism and even the what do you call it, maximalist and whatnot on each of the different blockchain technologies, as that starts to get broken down, that'll make life a little easier for all of us. Because like you talk about Alien Worlds bridging ETH and EOSIO Wax, I mean, ETH obviously has first mover, name recognition. I mean, there's some good things that they've done over there. They're getting crushed on fees and mining, the power of Iceland and stuff like that. They're working on the shardings and whatnot. But, I mean, taking it to the next level of EOSIO and free transactions and bridging that together. Fine. You want to be on ETH, you got money in ETH, that's where the bags are. It's like Bitcoin. You bridge over to Bitcoin, bring in those funds and those people. But EOSIO is what, in my opinion, blockchain has to be for like an NFT game-based system. I mean, I can't pay $5, $10, $15 a transaction to play a game, right? I mean, especially if I can only earn a penny a day, if millions of people are doing whatever. But and
I think that the same goes for DeFi. Like if you think about it, like there's we went through that DeFi mania, especially on Ethereum, but most people are just speculating. Like you said, a lot of people, Corey, are just speculating on these NFTs now. But once these NFTs become useful in games, and once people figure out how they can leverage the DeFi on these systems, then it's going to be a bit of a game changer, right? And
I don't even think you have to leverage the two together. You have to. I mean, they coexist. Fine. If ETH has.
No, I'm not saying they have to be together 100%. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, right now it's essentially speculation. I'm not talking about EOS. I'm not talking about Wax. I'm saying like everything in DeFi right now and everything in gaming right now is mostly speculation. I mean, we just heard the grand speculator himself say he bought 1 million $1 Wax cards for Alien Worlds that probably will have a use case. Sorry, I couldn't let you off without kicking you while you were down there, Corey.
You not see the banner? He's giving some of them away.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't paying attention to you, so that's definitely the right time to take shots.
Take a jab.
No, but I thought where that started was I really like Kurt's tweet that he put out last week, and I kind of want to get your take on this. He put it out today, actually. He said, leveraging Ethereum to run Bitcoin on is like a cheetah hopping on a turtle for a ride to the finish line.
I think wouldn't it more just be like two turtles? Because Bitcoin isn't a cheetah. Bitcoin's like an elephant. So like an elephant riding on a turtle. Like his point.
Maybe.
But,
I'll give you that. Yeah, that's right. I mean, and that's kind of my whole point.
Either way, he's right.
Even, talk about block times, 12-minute block times versus 2-minute block times versus half-second block times. I mean, that's just, evolutionary of interaction and gameplay. I mean, you can't run a game where you have to wait 2 minutes for something to become irreversible and then base an action off of it. To even be really committed to the chain, much less, is it irreversible or not? But anyway, that goes into the whole nerd side of, how quick those half-second blocks can be makes it possible to interact with a game within half a second of doing something,
Well, and that's kind of what I wanted to ask you as well. Is like we had Luke Stokes from FIO on a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about nice. I didn't realize that actually. It's been a while since I talked to you. But yeah, so that whole interoperability side. The one thing I'm kind of disappointed about with EOS Block 1 in general, is that I'm excited for this Thursday as well, because we're going to talk to Matt, which Costa Crypto, and hopefully get a little bit of insight into what's happening with DOT, because Ethereum 2.0 is at least 2 years out. My guess is DOT's probably 2 years out as well.
I mean, I have to make this joke. Ethereum 2.0 has been 2 years out for 6 years.
Yeah, right.
That is true.
Here's when Ethereum 2.0 is coming out. Never. I mean, that's the only safe bet. As a avowed speculator, right? Waiting for Ethereum 2.0 is like banging your head against the fucking bus. It's just, it's not good. Anyway, sorry.
Here's the icing on the cake is that now we get to lock up your tokens for potentially those 2+ years or whatever, right? Because then it goes into a whole nother aspect of, I think you're pissed off when you were waiting for it before. Wait till you have one-way, tokens that never come back. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, but so I would say EOS is already there. Like, where's EOS going to be in 2 years, right? Number one. Number two, if you think about it, when it comes to gaming, especially, and this is, I think, what EOS kind of promised in a way that didn't quite materialize, and I'm not sure why. I'm not a tech person. I mean, you are more so than me. So I guess my question to you, are we ever going to have that interoperability in the EOSIO ecosystem that everyone is looking forward to, right? That DOT is promising to be able to produce. Whether they can, I have no idea. I think they're at least 2 years out, right? And I think that's, for me, what excited me about EOS. Because if you can do it within the EOSIO chains, then you could potentially do something similar to what Theo is doing and link all of the accounts. Now, Theo is not necessarily interoperable in that way, but they do allow one address to be interoperable, so you don't have to have chains and chains and chains of addresses. So what would your take on that be? Because for games running on EOS that people could like deposit or buy or purchase with Bitcoin, that would be a game changer right there. That would utilize all the best points of both technologies, you know?
Absolutely. And like you say, so let's talk about, you know, that's probably my biggest disappointment, where we're at. God, what are we, almost 2.5, 3 years into it? I guess, yeah, 2.5 years into it. June 2018 is when we launched EOS, right? Is that we're still so disconnected with the IBC, you know what I'll refer to, that interblockchain communication. Because I guess that was one of the things that sold us on EOSIO in general, was it was almost naturally built to shard, which has always been Lightning networks and shardings and all of this. You know, everybody knew one big conglomerate can't do everything or doesn't need to be. And even Dan, early on, would you rather have one chain with a million nodes or 1,000 chains with 1,000 nodes, you know? So that general concept, and allow people to specialize in, fine, you do NFTs and you do massive amounts of transactions, you know, make your chain friendly to that, WAC, you know, user onboarding, things like that. And then, okay, if you have a specialty for wallet interaction, you know, or payment rails or stuff like that, if you're on EOSIO, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, and that we're all running on the same basic framework. And it's starting to get there. You're starting to see some of these hard-coded bridging between these different chains and an identity-based verification chain, right? I mean, they only do user-based, you know, KYC type of thing. Well, that can integrate into another chain that says, look, we don't have to do it. We just trust and we can communicate together. I mean, that's really the next vision of, again, what do? You go to a game, you get a free account, you log in, you be able to do KYC, you be able to send that money directly to your bank account. Do you really care that it actually bounced through 3 different shards of EOSIO to be able to produce that result? As an end user, hopefully not. You're not a normal end user if you do care, right?
Well, so I mean, if it didn't cost so much, I'm kind of okay to use that on Ethereum. But you know, if I'm standing in line waiting to buy a pack of bubble gum, I don't want to wait 20 minutes for it.
Well, and that's what I mean. Well, and even the whole general concept is that's great if you want to learn Solidity, you know, or if you already know Solidity. But you know, EOSIO is a little easier to program, in my opinion. I'm not a super programmer, so can't speak too much on it. But I mean, that's part of the selling point on it is, you know, I think it's a little easier to build on than ETH, because you can, you know, kind of capitalize on some of your built-in language knowledge, or existing code snippets and things like that. Anyway, so I back to your original thing. Yes, the IBC and the fact that we are still almost 3 years into it, and there is very little. I mean, Boz has the IBC. You know, we run a bunch of nodes for the Boz Core IBC solution that does kind of bridge simple token transfers and whatnot. Atomic Assets, you know, it's available now on multiple chains. You know, so in theory, you can create bridges. And that's going on that concept. You got EOSIO, you write contracts for them that, you know, are ambiguous enough to boop, 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 boop. And then you can have things hop in between them. Simple Assets, you know, that's another NFT standard. It's available on, I think, even more chains, Telos and Wax and EOS.
Yeah, so I think, you know, there are a few dApps that are running nodes on, you know, more than one chain for different parts of their dApp. That's what I see as being, like, you know, really valuable. I think Void does that. They run part of it on the EOS Mainnet. They utilize Telos for part of it, I believe. I know UX. I'm not sure if you guys are involved with UX or not.
We've talked to them, so yeah, we're in conversations.
So I know UX as well. They have this idea, like you mentioned, with the kind of KYC type of chain, whereby they could actually utilize that KYC information on the main chain as well. But we haven't heard anything from UX essentially since they launched. So I still think that they've got great things to do, but I don't know, what's happening with them.
Well, and there's the other one, or Open Right Exchange, the Acon chain. They've been around for a long time. We're BP over there too, but same type of thing is own your identity and kind of focus on a quote unquote KYC type of thing.
Right. And there were some EOS 1.0 era where everyone was hyped about EOS before some of these side chains came out, or I don't know what the nomenclature is that we call it now. I'm so confused. But anyway,
they're all just chains.
IO chains came out. There were some identity things as well. But I think for me, you hit on a really good point. You said what most people were excited about was the idea that you could have all of these chains and running in tandem, like an expressway with parallel nodes and just traffic.
I mean, the concept of sharding but it was naturally supposed to be built in.
And that's what annoys me about the EOSI community. I have my rant about Block One, which I do sometimes, but what annoys me most of all about the EOSI community is they seem to have forgotten, in my opinion, that was the dream. It's like everything should be built on EOS. Everything should be built on EOS. And oh my God, now Dan left and Satoshi's dead, but it doesn't matter. Bitcoin's awesome and EOS sucks. I mean, that's essentially the state where we are, right? So this is what really annoys me, right? Because I love the fact that all of these, I'm a little bit sad that, EOS is not doing so well. I mean, it's a stable coin. It's not moving. I think when it moons, it's going to moon hard. But I'm ecstatic that Wax is doing amazing. I'm over the hill that the ultra betas come out and the onboarding looks easier than traditional onboarding. I mean, Telos, I can't even comprehend the fact that now they're essentially bridging to Ethereum as well, right? I don't know what's going to happen to EOS. I think it will be the kind of secure based chain in the whole network, but I don't think it's going to be the one that's used the most, right? And I mean, why would you put voice on EOS? There's no reason for voice to be on EOS. Fair enough, you said you're going to put it on EOS, but then you put it on a side chain. But does it matter that it's on EOS? I mean, if voice was on EOS, would the EOS value go up? I don't think so. It's not going to make any difference, really.
Well, I think it's fair to say that it would. Again, number of holders times number of transactions. Again, show me meaningful transactions. Show me a token where that number is going up and the price isn't going up year over year. I don't think you'll be able to do it, right? So if voice brings in, and that's another if, right? But if voice brought in 1 million people, fuck yeah, the price of EOS would go up. It would have to.
But it's a different token. I might have got myself into a hole here, but anyway.
And again, I could be wrong. I'm waiting for the situation to prove me wrong, right? Which is always possible. But So Michael, what do you think about
that? Well, like I say, I mean, I can envision even EOS being I call it the EOSIO framework stablecoin, because remember, you're talking about smart contracts and interoperability. I mean, if you have a widely accepted market, billions of dollars of liquidity, and the base of EOSIO contracts, you can successfully bridge programmatically without having to really. Even Bitcoin doesn't have that option really too much. I mean, ETH is developing it some, but having to bridge another hop. I mean, ETH can exist. I mean, EOS can exist just solely as a financial programmability for the EOSIO sharding community, so to say. I do think, back to some of your, comments, rants, complaints, whatever you want to call it. I mean, as over the years, I've understood. Remember, there were billions of dollars worth of investments into the concept of EOS, EOSIO, Block One, whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that feel like they have You know, and what they got for it was EOS. They didn't get shares of Block One. They didn't get, you know, any of this other stuff. So, I mean, what they were basically given for their visionary of I love EOS and the concept you're selling me, or EOSIO, is EOS. Well, Block One develops EOSIO. And of course, the SEC does a pretty good job of trying to kick them in the nuts to make sure that they stay on that side. So you know, they're constantly playing this battle between the two. But you know, the early investors, you know, that spent billions of dollars are saying, well, what are we getting for it? And then, of course, looking over at the same technology being used for other chains, some of which may have ushered in EOS accounts, some of which just completely started from scratch. You know, I mean, like I say, Wax isn't, in my mind, a sister chain in any way because it has no links to the original EOS accounts. You at least could say something about, you know, like a Telos or a Boz that took a snapshot and gave some, you know, did at least some sort of integration between the two accounts, but not that they are sister chains. But I mean, there are broken relationships where that are succeeding, where I think investors are looking at, that's great, I've got this stable coin, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point that you made that I never really thought about. Like, you're right. There are kind of two divisions of kind of chains that are built on EOSIO technology. Because you probably say the same thing about File. You know, File is probably very similar to Wax. They're utilizing the technology, but they've integrated it into what they wanted to build as opposed to starting. I'm not sure about Ultra, actually.
I don't know. I don't think they did a snapshot on Ultra or...
Yeah, so I guess that's you know, kind of, but that's open.
But again, I mean, that's where
anyone can take it and run with it, and
you know, and I mean, imagine that as a multi-billion or multi-million. I mean, there's some that probably, you know, invested millions into it. Is that's some of their frustration and agitation with Block One, rightfully or wrongfully, is that they felt like EOS should be that front runner, and for whatever reasons, it's not. And now that same technology that they invested billions into is being used by other chains that they have absolutely no, you know, they have to buy into it, you know. So I mean, I think
those guys are probably really annoyed or pissed off as well, but they're probably looking ahead into the blockchain for business, and they're probably not the people who are whining and complaining on Twitter. That's all I'll have to say.
That's true. I mean, and anyway, yeah, there's several comments that probably be said about that. But anyway, point is that I've over the years, as I've listened to more people, I mean, that's definitely a valid frustration from a lot of the EOS community. Is, you know, they invested all this money into the concept, but it almost sharded out the whole concept of it. Well, you've got Block One doing this thing, you've got EOSIO that's been developed, and then you've got EOS. But
well, and if I might, I might be wrong here, but I recall slightly in an earlier conversation that you and I had, you stated that, you know, the ability for you guys to actually make a living on the EOS mainnet was quite difficult, which is why you ported over to the other chains. And I think that there's a lot of great block producers in the same boat as yourself that have actually done the same thing. And from what I know about what you guys have been doing, and I don't know everything, I'm sure, you guys have just been killing it on the other chains. I mean,
depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, I think you guys have been doing a really good job. I mean, you've got your hands in like more projects than I can even count, and I think that's awesome. So I don't know, like, if you want to comment on that now, or if you want to say like anything in terms of, you know, coming back to the EOS mainnet, like, is that an aim that you're looking at doing if you can? Like, I know it's really difficult. You know, I do some work with some other quality block producers, especially stateside, that it seems like a lot of stateside block producers have problems getting into the EOS mainnet. I just say that. And I don't think I don't think that there might be some collusion on the mainnet and stuff. I don't buy into that whole like, oh, it's not decentralized, it's all colluded. I mean, my only gripe with the block produced system right now is that I kind of feel like if you're a mainframe exchange and you're not listing EOS-based tokens, then you shouldn't be allowed to be a block producer. That's my one authoritarian move, right? Like, I'd rather have someone like you guys or Jen or EOS that's actually working to maintain the, you know, infrastructure and trying to build out and work with other projects, as opposed to someone like Huobi or even Binance. I mean, Binance has listed Everpedia. That's it. They haven't listed anything else. And yes, they're a good name, but at this point, so is Google Cloud. They're a great name too, you know. Like
a couple different things. I can speak a little bit on that. And hey, great news. I don't know. I don't know if after I finish my conversation, if you'll feel any better about it, but I'll feel a little better because it's not all as doom as gloom as, you know. I mean, it maybe has seemed in the past. So for the first point, actually, almost a year now, we've been able to scrounge our way up, and we are at the very bottom, but we are in the standby on EOS. So when you say come back to EOS, we actually never really left. We weren't ever, you know, we were at the bottom working our way up. It was harder to, you know, do things over there. And of course, there weren't just as many projects. There were other projects spinning up elsewhere, and we got involved with those as well. But I've always kept my EOS nodes. Like, you know, we're Liquid Apps DSP. I mean, even as I bridged those out and integrated all those other chains, it all comes back through EOS. So, you know, I mean, EOS still was a big piece of everything, and even as much more so now. So it's funny you should bring some of those up. So we dropped out of standby because, you know, the votes are all shifting around, and then got back into there because we've been able to get in touch with people that are needing infrastructure and are needing people that really can run the chain. They don't maybe need an exchange that's just there to, you know, help exchange tokens and provide that, which is a benefit in itself. But I'm at least excited that there are some potentials. You know, people need history nodes. People need nodes that, even from the DeFi aspect, that they can smash in all these transactions. So I joke about is, you know, as a service provider, you realize the service we provide for everybody with EOS nodes, which is just thousands of transactions a second, trying to beat them in there and trying to, you know, front run legitimately other people's transactions. That's an attack in any other industry. But oh no, that's accepted here. You know, I've just got to mitigate it to the point that, no, don't overrun my servers because you're smashing them, but understand that's kind of the service that you provide. Yeah. But I'll say this, is we've picked up some votes and some support on EOS because people need those types of services. There maybe aren't as many that are out there, you know, being provided as used to be. And so you are seeing a little bit of a support come back for some of us infrastructure VPs that are, you know, still involved in trying to provide services on EOS and getting a little bit of support. Interesting, you should mention Binance. So we actually work with some of the Binance crew to help them provide some of the next level EOS infrastructure. Like, for instance, they run their block producer nodes. Obviously, they have control of all of their accounts and their votes and everything like that. But, you know, a block producer should provide public API endpoints and make sure they're registered with their JSON and you know, whatever information. So we help Binance because they, you know, they want to be somewhat, you know, they're not just there just to take money. I mean, they want it to succeed. You know, they have a reason for it to do it. So they vote for us. And one of the things we help do is, you know, help them provide some of their public infrastructure for these chains. So they don't have to do it, but they can work with the tech teams that do want to do it and still, you know, provide that level of service that maybe is expected of VPs. And like I say, there's an argument about an exchange. What level should they be a VP? What are they doing for the chain? You know, you provide liquidity for a coin. That in itself, whether you like it or not, you know, that's not just a given. So that is a service that, you know, say a Binance or whoever, and it may not even.
I'm going to say connect this with Binance because I'd love to have them on here. And maybe part of the problem is that, like, this is my own personal opinion. This isn't one of the, you know, callings that I'm dragging off of social media. But maybe one of the problems is that, like, people don't understand what these exchanges are providing. Because I know Block One got a lot of flack for voting for certain exchanges. Mm-hmm. I personally actually do vote for Binance myself. Mm-hmm. I don't have an issue with them.
Why? Because they provide a public information about themselves. They have a functional API node. I can tell you that. You know, I mean, of maybe some of the exchanges, they may be one of the ones you like the most. But yeah, I do think
I probably don't mind most of the Asian exchanges, which is a little bit bizarre, right? But like some of these other exchanges, like I'm not really sure what they're doing. So I think maybe Block One took a lot of flack when their votes came out for these exchanges, right? But yeah, I think, you know, you bring up a valid point. Like maybe a lot of people don't know what's happening. And this is one of the reasons that Corey wanted to do this show 5 days every week, because there's so much going on. And thank you, Michael, by the way, for being our first ever BP and chill guest. Because, I mean, well, you guys seem pretty chill. I'm pretty intense. We might have to rename it. 2 chill guys and an intense dude on a podcast. Did you get that reference?
You haven't seen me all worked up. Chill is not always the description.
Man, I'm so disappointed nobody got that. There's a who's the guy who plays Deadpool? Ryan, Canadian dude.
Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds, yeah. Do you guys know his first ever show?
Mm-mm.
His first ever show was a sitcom. It was called 2 Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. It's like, like 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place. That was the name of the show.
I think there was a website kind of like that, but we won't go into that.
It was a really cool, like weird comedy, throwback comedy, like Northern Exposure type of like weird, like no, nothing. Jesus.
No.
Anyway, I digress. What's our line when I go too far and we have nothing to talk about? Right.
Yeah. What is it? Yeah. What's our Jimmy needs to shush safe word?
Sex with vegetables. You start.
Sex with vegetables. You start.
Potato. Is that a vegetable, right?
Hey, I kind of feel like it's user's choice. Like if you're gonna do it, you get to pick. Like, you know, you start.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat. I mean, people have
right.
Anyway, yeah, that's gone too far.
Right?
Absolutely.
Not my question, but a little bit of a backstory. If you missed our past episode, I brought this up on another episode, and we were sitting at the back of the bus, you know, in a small town, you know, in Canada, as you do. And somebody said something stupid, and one of my mates said to him, "Sex with vegetables, you start." And out of all the possible things that the guy could have said, he looked at him and he said, "Is a pumpkin a vegetable?" So I mean, whatever floats your boat, not so far off the mark, really. I mean,
that's what I was saying. I think. Wait, it's got seeds. I think it's a fruit.
And like this is what people showed up for, really. Like at the end of the day, you're coming here for information about whether or not a pumpkin is a fruit or a vegetable in relation to whether or not it can be used as a sex toy.
Full service provider. Yes. So that's what I mean. You get smart ass comments, you get nodes, you get
all of it, you get everything.
But yeah, I mean, so happy to back to the original thing. So happy to come on the show. Yeah, I do think that there's a lot of, you know, disconnect between some of the super technical aspects of things and, you know, where EOS is today and all of it, you know. Rightfully so. I mean, you shouldn't have to know what all goes on behind the scenes, but there's a lot, you know. And maybe come on the show another time whenever you can.
That was by no means an invitation for you to leave. I mean, if you got to go, you got to go. But yeah, we definitely want you on the show another time. I think we want you as a regular person. I mean, it doesn't even have to be on BP and Show Monday. I mean, I think with your set of, you know, capabilities, like you could show up for Tech Talk on a Tuesday. You can come for
NFT Game. I have to do those types of things. Like, and another one that I do all the time is like, why is history such a problem for blockchain? You know, that's something that people can't really get a concept on, is that if blockchain is this immutable ledger of all transactions that have ever happened, why the F is there only like 2 or 3 of them out there because, you know, to use?
I have an answer to that question. Have you seen how people study history these days? As a history professor, people can't remember shit. I mean, I'm not surprised that blockchains can't remember it either.
Anyway, so the whole point I made on that is that, you know, I mean, from a technical aspect, I can explain to you, you know, why there's a difference between the blockchain and actually, you know, blockchain history. So happy to come on your show and, you know, give you a little bit of geek speak and help break it down from the technical level. And yeah, we're involved with all the different communities, so we like to have an opinion on non-geek stuff too sometimes.
So actually, for the most part, it was just me ranting and you commenting. So I, apologize for that. But I do want to ask you another question, if you got time.
Sure.
So, because I keep alluding to this, in the notes below, there's a Jenner EOS Gen Pool article. It's about two months old, so it's fairly relevant. Where we interviewed you, and I thought it was really good, so I wanted to link it. But
yeah, I link that all the time, by the way. Like I said, you want to know anything about us? Here's the latest article they did, just because.
Yeah, I was pretty excited when Corey said you were coming on. I'm like, I kind of know that guy. Kind of know that guy.
Yeah, know a little bit. You know a lot more about me than a lot of other people do. Like I said.
Yeah, you guys are you guys are very quiet. In the sense, you're not quiet, but in the sense of all of the things that you're doing, which is kind of the lead into what I wanted to ask you. So can you give us
running things? We're horrible at PR.
Not anymore, because again, like I think honestly, we need to have you on. Like and this is something I was talking to Jimmy about. I'd love to just like set a date right now if your game. Whatever Monday it is in the month, halfway through the month is EOS USA. Keep coming back. And like again, there's a Ash from NFT Army, wants to learn more about the tech stuff. Like that, it's something that there's a real hunger for that thing. And I think you're in a really awesome position to bridge the gap between the fun shit that we're doing with Alien Worlds and like if you ever wanted to tell people how unbelievably tech savvy you are on the back end of that with Anders from Any Observation like that, I think would be really interesting to people. So if you're game, just come back monthly, and we'll just make it a regular thing. And then you'll get. I mean, this show is gonna blow up. I say that as a joke, but I honestly think it probably.
With me
will.
as a guest, I mean, how could it not?
Right. Well, there you go. It's fun, and then we can at least handle some small part of the PR.
I was totally down with him coming on monthly, but now that you're saying the show's gonna blow up, maybe he's really bad at PR, so maybe.
No, we're the PR. He's the BP. We're the PR. Match made in heaven. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what I'd like to be anyway, as a service to this larger community, is to not just focus on, we have, EOS USA on one time and then people don't really ever hear about it. Like, I want to use the mirror effect so that people know who Michael is, right? They're going to know who Adriana from Cypherglass is. They're going to know, who the weirdos behind Our Planet are, right? Like that. I want them to become people that are embedded in people's consciousness, like they know them, right? And like, you're not going to get any better PR than that, in my clearly humble opinion. And you're going to find out, fruit, vegetable, which one is a pumpkin in respect to sex toys.
No, but I think, yeah, you're 100% right. We are the only people that are doing this right now. And I'm glad you made me do it, because I wasn't so sure about 5 days a week, but then we figured out which day would be dedicated to which thing. And you can join almost all of them, Michael. Yeah. I think the only one that you can't join is Wednesday. That's our MediaMogul Series. But in a year, I mean, people might just come here to see you, so you might be able to join.
Funny you should say that. I mean, one of our things, and Clay's kind of drifted in and out sometimes to get back into it, but we've got a YouTube channel with 2,200 subscribers that we pump videos out on. Matter of fact, just released some Alien World videos, so. We actually do a little bit of media. I'm not the media person. I hopped on some of the calls, on some of the videos. But yeah, Clay likes to do some of the videos. So maybe we can go 5 for 5.
I think when it comes to gaming, definitely I'll touch base with them, because we do a Thursday EOSIO Weekly update article where we post a series of videos that came out through the week. So if we know about it, and I know Corey's big into Alien Worlds and other stuff, so we'll definitely share those out with the community. The problem with YouTube is anything crypto, they seem to unsubscribe people. So
we haven't gotten blacklisted yet, as far as I know. I mean, we aren't, extremely active, but, and of course, 2,200 subscribers. I mean, we're not showing up on many radars, but, anyway, but yeah, we do actually. That was when we got started. That was actually one of EOS USA's starting points, was doing news and trying to get the information out. And then they brought me in, and I went all techie on them, and here we are.
So yeah, so back to my question, if I might. can you please very quickly, well, you don't have to do it quickly, but we're going to have you back a lot, so more in depth can be another time. But can you please very quickly, if you wouldn't mind, outline all of the EOSIO chains that you're working on, and if possible, what you're doing with them? Because I know you guys have a hand in it. So like just point blank, like even you don't even have to do what you're doing with them, but I know you have a hand in like a lot of things. Like I know you're, working with all these different chains. So just to let our audience know, like this is how much of a genius you and
that's how many nodes I run. I think I have like 109, 110 nodes, scattered amongst all the different things. So I mean, yeah, I guess I'll try to run down, and I'm sorry if I forget a chain, but I got an interesting stat. At one time, there was a block being signed on a blockchain, EOSIO blockchain, every 0.4 seconds out of our server farm. So obviously, it's half a second, so it was a little bit, but I had about 24 block producers on these different chains or whatever that were signing. And so even quicker than every half a second, there was on average a block being signed by one of our active producers. So we're on EOS as a standby block producer. We're an active top 21 on Telos, on Wax, on FIO, on Proton, on Instar, on OR, on DAOBet, on I guess I can throw in Jungle and Kylan, which are the EOSIO big test nets out there. We're active producers on those, but they're test nets. So we're standby on Boz at EOS, I think I said, and I don't think there's any others we're standby though. Oh, we're active on Coffee Chain. We're active on what other ones? Anyway, like I say, I all my little.
So like beyond being a block producer, then what is your active focus? Like,
so that was my next thing.
Different block producers have different kind of
exactly. That's what I was going to go into next. A perfect segue, because like I said, we do it for one chain. Almost I can do it for all of them. I can export my knowledge and cross between two different things. This chain has this problem. This chain has this problem. Now we both benefit from it.
And for what you export, it's coronavirus time. So.
I know, right? Yeah, that's okay. I have a digital face mask, right?
That's fun. Hey, by the way, guys, we're gonna have to wrap this up within the next 120 seconds because I'm like literally 5 minutes late for my other show that I legitimately forgot about.
Sure.
My buddy Greg for hashtag Coffee like. Fuck, man.
So ultimately, on all of our chains, we're a big history node provider. So we run Hyperion history. So on almost every single one of those chains, we have a farm of servers that's indexing and providing some of those history queries back to the people that need it. Another conversation about why a history node is different than a regular node. We also are involved with almost all projects that are on each one of them. Like on EOS, we're on Vigor, we're Liquid Apps, we're involved with Everpedia. We're, all Blockbase. It's another big one out there that's catching. Wax, obviously, we're involved with trying to get we provide all the services like providing on-chain price feeds for what is the current price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, so these smart contracts can verifiably know this is the current price. Therefore, if you did like an exchange, that would be the pegging, so to say. But anyway, so a lot of these services that you may not realize make the system run, but we do a lot of those for all of the different chains. And like EOS or Telos, we try to provide all the history nodes. We try to provide, they've got some special projects spinning up that we're providing dedicated nodes for that, are providing services on Telos. So anyway, we're a service provider is the best way to kind of look at that, is that being a proficient across all EOSIO, we get to bring one technology to the other, be familiar with it, and really kind of help the developers have all the tools they could need to make whatever awesome dApp can get us to mainstream adoption. That's kind of our mission.
Awesome. I like it. I'm going to give you homework. My homework is I want to know your favorite projects on EOS in particular, but on other chains as well. The last message I actually have from you is I'm an open book. So I'm going to open that book further than I've opened any other book in this space. And
you see, I like to talk, so.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked for everything that we have lining up, Jimmy. I think we're really onto something. Michael, I'm excited to have you back. I'm excited to talk to you all the time. But we really do have to go because I'm going to end up being 10 minutes late for my next show. Thank you to the NFT Army. Thank you to the lads for showing up. You guys are freaking fantastic. 9 a.m. every weekday, we're coming to do this. I might not be able to give away as many NFTs as I gave away today just because it means full-time job. We might have to like hire a freaking intern for that shit or something because we love giving away. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is, if I'm not mistaken, Jimmy Jonah from Atomic Assets is joining us tomorrow.
From Atomic Assets will be here.
Baller. That's gonna be some good shit. But that's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Frickin' ciao.
What if we could turn this song into a school and change hundreds of lives forever? There's no tension in solace.